Okay, so I found Dipping, and before I try her defense, I just wanted to take a quick minute to talk about a couple of different defenses. So this is a defense I've been using just lately. It uses 3 Nemesis units and a Revenge unit. And so it looks like lunch for Lucians, it looks like lunch for a lot of stuff, but when you hit it with an AoE, the 2 heals trigger and a stun triggers. So if you don't have will runes, there's a pretty good chance that your second nuke is going to be stunned. And because of the big heals that go off, it's got reasonable capacity to revive Theomars and get him into action, taking out those threats. Now, I have been wondering about this one, which has a little more capacity to absorb damage through the use of Darian. And Darian's on Revenge as well, so between the damage that Darian and Veramos can do, there's still a reasonable amount of threat on this team. It's got huge capacity to heal itself out of a problem, so if it takes a big AoE, it should be able to heal quite nicely, and it's got that stun sitting there. The leader skill multiplies quite nicely with all the units, with the exception of Balladion, but Balladion's really a very hard unit to scale effectively. Quite a limited unit in many respects. If it weren't for his super versatility, I wouldn't really want to use him. I just don't have a healer that I can really put in his place. Like, obviously Praha or something is just going to be completely ridiculous compared to Balladion. So now Dipping's doing something a little bit different. So this is the defense I was using for quite a while. Frustrating. Alright, Vanessa leader, and it's like the idea was like using speed, you could stack a really insane exponential by adding Bernard, and Bernard always goes in slot 2, right? Because in the event of a draw, slot priority, or like slot number, it gives you your priority of move. So Bernard in slot 2, it gives him the highest priority move in draws other than leader skills, right? Other than the leader itself. Then I think she's using Bella and Theomars, right? Something like that. Whereas I swap out Bella and use Chassoon. And armor break's better than attack buff, just in general. It will do more damage if you armor break something than if you're attack buffed versus no armor break. But I've managed to get my Vanessa sufficiently fast that it goes Chassoon attack buff, Vanessa armor break, Theomars with his hopefully multi-violent proc, kill everything skill 1. And so what you end up with is the leader skill, Bernard's boost, all of that stacking on top of Theomars' skill 1 to do loads of damage and also to have like the highest sort of speeds possible. So the problem is that when you think about like what's going to come in against you, right? So stuff that's going to come in against you, like some of the more common ones, Bernard, Megan, right, and then 2 Lucians. So this is like the first sort of build that you want to think about. How do you defend against this? Because it's super common. It's relatively straightforward to rune quite effectively. And most of them are runed without will runes on the Lucians, although obviously the better teams do have will runes on at least the second Lucian, which means the first Lucian goes, triggers the Nemesis. Veramos is out there. Veramos will leap attack, but won't be able to stun the second Lucian, so he can then come in and clean everything up, right? So this is a pretty common AO. Very fast, quite effective, and some people in G1 do use these, and higher. And Dipping's defense is going to do quite well against that, because it will get the first turn, and there's a reasonable chance that Belladion could armor break a Lucian and Theomars could kill it, or Theomars could just straight up kill a Lucian, right? And if you kill one of those Lucians, probably stuff is going to be okay and you'll be able to win, right? So it works quite well against that sort of thing. What it works a little bit less well against are these like cleavy AOs. Cleave means, like, as far as I can tell, cleave means like basically going straight at the face. Like you just sort of like all out or not much care for your own safety. So I mean, cleave has got some care for its safety, using will runes to try and inflate its resilience. Basically trying to ward off armor breaks, which are pretty much the end of it all. Uh, right, where are my units? I really do wish that they would help us organize these a little bit better. Oh yeah, there we are. And, alright, Lucian, all the way back over here. Alright, so this is the other sort of main AO that you'll see in reasonably high levels. And all these units are on will, right? And that's what's kind of... Well, there's two special things about it. All the units are on will, and there's no healer. Okay, it's just all about clearing things quickly so you can move on, keep stacking those points, and hopefully stack them faster than you're losing them. So that's... I mean, you know, ideally it's going to be like Zyros instead of Lagmaron. And maybe like Tosi or something instead of Amir. But then Lucian is also quite common. And what they will sometimes do, right, is you'd have like Zyros, like some sort of second really powerful AoE, and then a buff stripper. Or I think like probably the most common hyper efficient cleaves are the Zyros plus Lucians, right? So it's like Zyros, Galleon, Lucian, and a stripper, and that's just crazy effective. I mean, Zyros is sort of like a cheat, and so is Lucian. But anyway, the concept's the same. Loads of output, and the thing is, like, Theomars on his own is going to really struggle without armor break to blow through this. And even if he does, there's still two nukes that are going to come in against it, probably sufficient to clean it up. Oh, so Dipping's defense probably not going to do so great against that style AO. One other defense that I really want to show off, right, the Storly kind of defense, where people are like using Nemesis Chloes, or, you know, Nemesis healers of whatever sort, and then Renas. And the reason that it's so effective is you can easily kill Arena if you bring something like a Teoa or a Theomars, or, you know, you can just sort of drill down on the Arena. But if you're bringing AoEs, you usually can't do such appalling damage that you can kill her all that quickly, and you end up having to kill her with skill 1 or skill 2, and then maybe you cycle back round and you have to rebuff and drop your skill 3, or your ultimates, or whatever you want to call them. So she really can be a real pain in the behind. But because there's not so much time pressure during the week, that's not normally something you'll want to be doing until rush. We got SK Panda with a defense victory. Hooah! Pretty good player. And there's Dipping. So let's see how we go. So we don't need a stripper, right? So we're going to go with 3 nukes. Yeah. And we'll see how it pans out. This can sometimes go a little bit wrong if Theomars just goes completely mental, but the odds of that are so slim that we only see that very, very rarely. So here comes the first turn. Theomars moving before Chassoon. Alright, so that's got to be fixed. Amuse should already have gone off, right? So he should have dropped those at much higher damage. Just one of those things, like speed tuning is everything. Without speed tuning, without speed tune, it's very hard to have an efficient defense. So that's one note. Dipping, sort out your Chassoon. Get her faster than Theomars. Probably even worth considering a slightly slower Theomars to make that work a little bit better. The other thing is, like, if your Chassoon is slower than Theomars, right? So what happens is someone comes in faster than you, they hit your Theomars and take him down to his pop or reduce his health a whole lot. Then Theomars goes, okay, so his ATB bar is super low because he's just taken his turn. Chassoon goes full on Blossoms, heals him up to full by matching the HP, but she also matches ATB, but she's going to match her ATB to a super low level because Theomars is at a super low amount of ATB. He's just moved. If Theomars moves second, right, so then when Chassoon cycles around, she's moving before him, so you've come in, you've smashed Theomars. Then when she full on Blossoms, she matches his HP to hers, and she matches her ATB to his, right? So she heals him to max HP, and she basically gets an auto-violent proc. She gets the next turn. So then she can buff Amuse if she has to, right? Put the attack buff on him, and then Theomars is coming in with full HP, fully buffed attack power. Just a much more dangerous way of organizing that composition. Anyway, pretty awesome stuff from Dipping. Vulnerable to cleave, pretty good against certain Devolution teams, and that'll do that.